The dusty platform of the Santa Fe railway station shimmered under the burning noon sun. Horses neighed in the distance, train whistles echoed, and the dry wind carried the smell of smoke and iron. Among the travelers stood Cole Harrison, a tall, broad-shouldered cowboy, wearing a sun-bleached hat and boots that had seen years of trails and storms. He had just sold a few heads of cattle in town and was about to head back home when something caught his attention. An old man, frail, tired and dressed in worn-out clothes, was standing by the ticket window, fumbling through his pockets. The station master's voice was impatient. "Sir, I told you already. It's $3.50 to Tucson. No ticket without full payment." The old man's hands trembled. He looked embarrassed as people in line began to whisper. Cole noticed the man's wrinkled face, the deep sadness in his eyes, and the way his shoulders slumped with shame. "Please, son," the old man said softly to the clerk. "My daughters are waiting for me. I just need to get home." The clerk shrugged. "Rules are rules," Cole sighed. He'd seen plenty of proud men brought low by life's storms. Without thinking twice, he stepped forward. "Hey," Cole said, placing a few coins on the counter. "Make that ticket out for him. Tucson, right?" The clerk blinked, surprised. The old man turned, his faded blue eyes widening. "Son, I can't let you—" Cole interrupted with a small smile. "Ain't much. Just a ticket. Get home to your girls." The station fell quiet for a second. The old man's lips trembled before he whispered, "Bless you, son. Folks like you are rare these days." Cole just tipped his hat and turned to leave, thinking that was the end of it. But fate had other plans. Minutes later, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed on the wooden floorboards. Two young women stepped into the station, both stunning in their own way. One wore a pale blue dress that shimmered in the light, her long brown hair cascading over her shoulders. The other, dressed in soft cream, had striking green eyes that seemed to glow even in the dusty light. They stopped dead when they saw the old man clutching his ticket. "Papa!" the younger one cried. Cole froze as the old man's face lit up. The girls ran to him, hugging him tight, tears of relief in their eyes. The entire station seemed to pause, caught in that moment of love and reunion. When they pulled back, the old man pointed toward Cole. "Girls, you see that cowboy over there? He's the reason I got this ticket. Paid for it himself." Both daughters turned to look at Cole. The one in blue, tall, graceful, and full of confidence, walked straight to him. "Sir," she said softly, "you helped our father?" Cole scratched his neck awkwardly. "Wasn't nothing. Just figured a man should get home to his family." The younger sister, shy but curious, stepped forward. "Most people just walked away." "You didn't even know him," Cole chuckled. "Guess I ain't most people." The old man smiled proudly. "Girls, this here's the kind of man your mama used to talk about, one who helps without expecting a thing in return." The older daughter smiled, her eyes warm and grateful. "My name's Clara, sir. This is my sister Lydia. We can't thank you enough." Cole tipped his hat again, feeling a bit uneasy under their gaze. "Cole Harrison. Glad to meet you both." For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The train hissed and roared, preparing for departure. Cole turned to leave again, but Clara called after him. "Mr. Harrison, will you be traveling west?" "Just back to my ranch near Prescott," he said. Clara exchanged a look with Lydia. "That's not too far from Tucson. Perhaps we'll see you again someday." Cole smiled faintly. "World's a big place, miss. But who knows? Maybe." As the train whistle blew, the old man reached out a trembling hand. "Thank you again, son. You've done more than you realize." Cole helped the old man climb aboard, tipping his hat to the two daughters once more before stepping back onto the platform. As the train began to move, he watched the sisters wave from the window, their faces glowing with gratitude and something else. Maybe admiration, maybe curiosity. When the train finally disappeared into the horizon, Cole stood in silence, his heart unexpectedly heavy. He wasn't sure why those two pairs of eyes, so full of light, had left such a mark on him. He turned toward his horse, whispering, "Guess that's what kindness gets you, trouble in the heart." That night, As Cole camped beneath a blanket of stars, he couldn't stop replaying the moment. The warmth of Clara's voice, the innocence in Lydia's smile, the pride in the old man's eyes. He'd seen plenty of faces come and go in his years on the frontier, but somehow this family felt different. He remembered the old man's words. "You've done more than you realize." What could he have meant? Cole lay back on the ground, hat tilted over his eyes, trying to sleep. But his mind drifted again and again to that train window, to Clara's smile as she waved goodbye. The next morning he saddled his horse and rode out, unaware that destiny was already weaving their paths together again. Because far down the line, inside that train car, Clara and Lydia were talking softly to their father. "Papa," Lydia whispered. "That cowboy, he seems so kind." Clara nodded, gazing out the window. "Kind and alone, like he's carrying something heavy inside." Their father smiled knowingly. "A man like that don't come across your road for no reason. Maybe the Lord's bringing our paths together for a purpose." Neither of the girls knew then that the old man was right, and that Cole Harrison would soon find himself drawn back into their lives in a way that would change everything. 3 weeks passed since Cole Harrison had helped the old man at the Santa Fe station, but the memory still clung to him like the scent of desert sage after rain. Life on his small ranch outside Prescott was quiet, too quiet. The days were long, filled with mending fences and tending cattle. Yet at night, when the sky stretched wide and full of stars, Cole often found himself staring toward the south, wondering if that train had carried away more than just strangers. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, a wagon appeared on the dirt road leading to his ranch. Cole squinted, brushing dust from his gloves. The horses slowed, and when the wagon stopped, his breath caught. Stepping down were Clara and Lydia, the 2 daughters he thought he'd never see again. And sitting beside them, though looking weaker than before, was their father. Cole hurried forward. "Well, I'll be damned," he said with a half-smile. "Didn't expect to see all this far out." Clara smiled warmly, her eyes bright despite the dust. "Mr. Harrison, we found you." Her father coughed lightly. "Told the girls I had to see the man who saved me once more. Thought I might repay the favor somehow." Cole shook his head. "You don't owe me nothing, old-timer. You already thanked me plenty." But the old man smiled, eyes gleaming with quiet wisdom. "Sometimes, son, life has a way of bringing folks together for reasons we don't see right away." That night, Cole insisted they stay. The sisters helped prepare supper in his kitchen, a simple stew and cornbread, but the sound of their laughter filled the cabin with warmth Cole hadn't felt in years. Lydia hummed softly while stirring the pot. Clara set the table with the ease of someone raised to care for others. When they sat down to eat, the old man bowed his head. "Lord," he whispered, "thank you for the stranger who showed us kindness when we needed it most, and for bringing us safely to his door." Cole lowered his hat slightly in respect. The prayer was simple, but it struck deep. Over dinner, the old man spoke about how their home in Tucson had been sold after hard times hit. His wife had passed years ago, and he'd been trying to reach his daughters, who'd found work as seamstresses. They were on their way to start fresh when they stopped at the station that day. Cole listened quietly, his heart heavy but warmed by their spirit. Clara's eyes sparkled when she spoke of her dreams, opening a small store someday, building something of her own. Lydia talked about learning to read better, about wanting more from life than just survival. After supper, as the moon rose high, the old man sat outside, wrapped in a blanket. Cole joined him with 2 cups of coffee. "Mr. Harrison," the old man said softly, "I'm not long for this world. My heart's been weak for years. But I can rest easier knowing my girls are safe." Cole frowned. "Don't talk like that. You're tough as they come." The old man smiled faintly. "Maybe, but if something happens, promise me you'll look after 'em." Clara's strong but proud. Lydia's gentle but too trusting. They'll need someone steady, someone with a good heart. Cole hesitated, then nodded. You have my word." The old man's eyes softened. "I know I can trust you." 2 days later, the old man passed peacefully in his sleep. The sisters wept quietly as Cole buried him beneath a tall oak tree near the ranch, overlooking the valley. The wind carried their tears, and Cole stood beside them in silence, his hat pressed to his chest. When the sun dipped low, Clara placed wildflowers on the grave. "He always said God sends angels in dusty boots," she whispered. "I think he meant you." Cole's throat tightened. "I'm just a man who bought a ticket." Clara looked up, eyes glistening. "No, Mr. Harrison. You changed our lives." Weeks turned into months. The sisters stayed on at the ranch, at first because they had nowhere else to go, later because it began to feel like home. Lydia took care of the cooking and chickens. Clara helped with the books and even rode out to check fences with Cole. Slowly, life settled into a rhythm. Laughter replaced grief. Clara began to smile more, though she often stared at the sunset, lost in thought. Cole noticed, but he didn't press. He knew pain had its own clock. One evening, while fixing a fence post together, Clara paused, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Cole," she said quietly, "do you ever wonder why you helped my father that day?" Cole wiped sweat from his brow. "Didn't need a reason. Just felt right," she smiled. "Maybe that was fate's way of bringing you to us." He met her gaze, the golden light catching her eyes. "You really believe in fate?" "I do now," she whispered. There was silence, warm, steady, alive. In that moment, Cole realized something he'd been denying for months. The feeling that had grown between them wasn't just friendship. It was love, gentle, unexpected, and real. That night, under a sky thick with stars, Clara stood on the porch, the wind playing with her hair. Cole stepped beside her, the soft creak of the wood beneath his boots, the only sound. "I reckon your pa was right," he said quietly. "Sometimes folks meet for reasons they don't see right away." She turned toward him, eyes shining. "He used to say love's just kindness that stayed long enough to grow roots," Cole chuckled. "Sounds like something he'd say." Clara took a deep breath. "Cole, I don't want to leave. Lydia and this ranch feels like home now." He looked at her, his heart full. "Then stay, both of you. There's room enough, and Lord knows I could use some company that ain't cattle." Clara smiled, her voice soft. "And maybe more than company someday?" Cole grinned, tilting his hat. "Maybe, if the lady's willin'." She didn't answer with words, just stepped closer until her hand brushed his. Above them, the stars burned bright and endless, like fate smiling down on two souls who had found each other through a simple act of kindness. Months later, travelers passing through Prescott often spoke of the Harrison Ranch, a quiet place run by a strong cowboy and two sisters who'd turned it into a haven of warmth and laughter. No one ever guessed their story began with a $3 ticket at a dusty train station, but those who knew Cole and Clara could see it in their eyes every time they looked at each other. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness writes the biggest story of all.